Okay, and I'll just do my little short introduction. I'll welcome everyone. My name is Judy Kitt. I'm the president of the Foundation for Mind Being Research. And if you don't know us, if you've never heard of us before, we're an all volunteer-run nonprofit organization in the San Francisco Bay Area. We were founded in 1980 by scientists and healers and artists who are interested in the nature of human consciousness. And so for 43 years now, not me personally, but we've been a platform for people who are really doing work at the edges of understanding the nature of reality, things that are unexplained, and quantum physics, shamanism, all the things that make life interesting. And so we're at fmbr.org, and you can check us out. All of our presentations are on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel called FMBR TV. So, and speaking of that, I forgot to start the live stream, didn't I? So let me do that. And of course, it's taking just a minute. So, okay, back to the introduction. So we're really excited to welcome Hollister Rand back. Hollister, you probably know, she's an internationally renowned medium known for her extraordinarily detailed work. Her first book, I'm Not Dead, I'm Different, was released by Harper Collins. Her award-winning book, Everything You Wanted to Know About the Afterlife But Were Afraid to Ask, was published by Beyond Words, Simon & Schuster, in May of 2020, just as the pandemic was starting. Her TV and radio appearances include Oxygen's Tori and Dean, Home Sweet Hollywood, SiriusXM's The Seance with John Edward, Coast to Coast with George Noory, KOST FM's Angels in Waiting, and KBIG FM's Radio Medium. Hollister was the last person to be our in-person speaker, our in-house speaker in Palo Alto before the whole thing shut down. I think it was March 1st. And she graced us through Zoom, I think, a year later. And so I mark the beginning of the pandemic by seeing Hollister for the last time in person. So I'm so happy to see you, Hollister, and welcome. And can't wait to hear updates from the spirit world.
Yes, well, I was delighted to be at FMBR. I was pre-selling the book and signing book plates. And I had one other large event in San Francisco right before the shutdown, and people started canceling their tickets. So I was very, very glad that my book came out. In fact, I think I have a copy of it. I don't know if people can see that. Yeah. It came out in May of 2020, and my assistant said, this is the worst time to come out with a book because everything was canceled. All of my in-person book events were canceled. And I said, this is the best time to release this book. This is a time when people are really faced with life after death, how to manage all of this. And they will be interested. So I was really, really delighted with the timing of the book's release and that it could comfort people during a very difficult time. I work at the frequency of divine love. Those of you who know me and know my work understand that. And at the frequency of divine love, only the good spirits are allowed here with us. If someone speaks to us tonight with whom you had a difficult relationship while they were here on the earth plane, just know that if they can speak to me at the frequency of love, they have had a change of heart. Death is called the great transformer for a very, very good reason, because when people die, there's an opportunity to experience their lives from the perspective of those they've loved and those they've wounded. Because I work at the frequency of divine love, I always get started with a blessing on our time together, if that's all right with everyone here. Right. Dear friends and relatives in spirit and guides who are here helping us to do this work today, for I know we don't do it alone. Thank you so much for this time together, and I ask a blessing upon it. I ask that you would use all of my abilities to see, hear, smell, taste, and feel, so that I might give as clear a message to as many people here today as possible. Thank you so much for the opportunity to do this work. We do this work in divine love, asking your protection as we do it, and so be it. I find that in doing the work, and actually almost doing anything else in my life, setting intention and letting everybody know what you're on about is very helpful when you're working with the spirits, so that we can all kind of get on the same page. And so that we are on the same page here, if you do not want to receive a personal message here today, and you want to kind of be a fly on the wall and skulk about in Zoom world, that's fine. Just turn your camera off. Otherwise, the spirits and I know that you're fair game and we can come to you. The other thing I'd like to say is we have a lot of people listening, not necessarily right here on camera. I will not be able to give everybody here a personal message tonight, or I will be joining the spirits myself in about an hour and a half. However, when I come to people here, the spirits lead me to you. I don't choose you because you are sitting in front of the most fantastic. Is that an azalea bush or a bougainvillea behind you? Good Lord, I've never seen anything like that. That's attractive to me, but that doesn't make me come to someone to give them a message. The spirits will prompt me to move through the squares that we have, because this is not the Hollister Rand show. This is the spirit show. Your loved ones want to connect with you. So what I'd like to also say is, since I can't reach everyone here tonight personally, listen to everyone's reading, because there might be a message or a thematic refrain that applies to you right now, or that could be beneficial. Because as personal as messages are, they also have some level of universality. Or these big events wouldn't work and I wouldn't do them. I'd just be wasting people's time. We will also do questions here. The book, Everything You Wanted to Know About the Afterlife, is a book. It's a Q&A book. And it kind of grew out of events where people would ask questions. And I just gathered a lot of those questions and answers and put them in a book. So we can kind of keep the book thing going, and feel free to put your questions in the chat. General questions about life, death, and spirits, that kind of thing. Not necessarily, is my cat here with me tonight? I can assure you, your cat is with you tonight. And we may even speak to a couple of lovely animals as well. Let me just see who spirit wants me to start with. There's a Roxanne. May I come to you, please? And I'm going to ask you to unmute, if you could. And Roxanne, are you an animal lover, by the way?
I am.
Because I have to say, I was joking about the cats, and all of these animals, as I was sort of scrolling through, were covering my screen. And then your face popped out. So you may like dogs and cats, but interestingly enough, I also see birds with you as well. So I just want you to know there are birds, there are a couple of parrots, there's some canaries and things like that. I do also think there's a mother or grandmother with you who also love birds, by the way. So I just want you to know there are birds with you as well. So that makes sense, I hope.
It does. Thank you very much.
Good, good. And I also heard the name Max or Maxine, by the way, as I was talking with you. And Max may be the name of a dog, just so you know. And so are you aware of the dog?
I am.
Okay, name Max.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I just want you to know the dog named Max, and holy cow, there's also a black and white cat that's walking along and walking around my computer. Do you know of the black and white cat as well that has passed?
Yes, quite a while ago, actually. I'm
glad you brought up the idea of some time ago or a long time ago. For the spirits, they don't understand time like we do. They are just not linear in their way of thinking. They live in the eternal present moment, past, present, future, existing at the same time. So for your cat, it's like long time ago. What is she talking about? We're here right now. So that's the good news. And I want to let everyone know that no matter how long ago someone died, they will wait for you, because for them, it's like a blink of an eye. It's not like, oh my God, when are they going to get here? How long can I wait on this train platform for them to arrive? It just isn't like that in the spirit world. Plus, they are here with me. And Roxanne, you have a grandmother who has passed, do you not?
I do.
There's
Yes.
also another lady with her giving me the feeling of a mother or a mother figure. Are you aware of the mother as well?
I am.
Okay, so they are here together. They are formidable ladies, by the way. Formidable,
Yeah.
strong-willed. We know what is right for everyone, they say. I've got to tell you, your mother wants to tell me how to run my life. Does that sound familiar?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and she is also, there's also a Bert or Bertha or Berta that they're mentioning. Are you aware of that name?
Not offhand.
That's all right. I'm going to ask the people right around you. Doris, are you aware of the Bert or the Bertha? Lori McDonald, are you aware of the Bert or the Bertha?
I don't think so.
Then I'm still here with you, Roxanne. Sometimes what happens is the spirits get excited and anxious, and they jump into people's squares from another square. Your mother is putting books in front of my face, which makes me think books were important, learning was important, teaching was important. So you may really have wanted to go on to higher education. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. And were there some challenges or barriers to that for you?
Yes.
Because
Absolutely.
she mentions that.
Yes.
She mentions how hard it was for you to
It's so hard.
What's that?
It's hard. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. For you to move forward in the way you wanted to. And she understands that and says that your mind is so concise and you have such inquiry with your mind all the time that you are educating yourself every day. Do you feel that?
Yes, absolutely. I do. Yes.
Okay. And she's joining you with that. Were you a bit of a tomboy when you were a kid?
Oh, of course. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
she's giving me this feeling that you came into the world sort of wanting to take the world by storm.
Yes.
Okay? And you are one of these people, grass doesn't grow under your feet. And that's not because of climate change. You understand? It's because, you're on the move. And you always want to know what's next, what's next, what's next. Your mother was exhausted at the end of her life, she tells me.
Yeah.
Also lets me know she was afraid of losing her mind. So dementia was something she was afraid of, which makes me think that your grandmother may have had issues with that, or dementia is in the family, because she gives me this great fear of losing herself and losing her mind. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And so she wants you to know that she is fully restored. She remembers everything. Did she want you to get your ears pierced?
You know what? No, she really did not.
But did you get them pierced?
Yes, I did.
Okay, because she's talking about pierced ears and little pearls. So did you get little pearl earrings when you pierced your ears?
I did, but the funny thing is I did. And the pearl earrings have always, they've always come up. I don't know what, I can't put I don't know.
Okay, but you know about the pearl earrings.
Yes, I do.
So she remembers this. You are both an innovator and a classicist. That's what she tells me with the pearl earrings. In other words, you
Oh,
will go and do what you want, right? You will
yes.
walk your own path, but you
Sometimes.
do not destroy the classics on your way. You appreciate what is classic. That's what she's showing me. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And so
Yes.
she is here to let you know, I am here. My mind is sharp. I'm learning with you. And aren't we having a grand time? And it is really
Okay.
okay for you to take that transatlantic trip, because she just put a suitcase in front of you. So there's a trip that you're thinking of making, and it may even be connecting with family or ancestors, because she gives me an ancestor connection. Does that make sense to you?
100%. 100%.
So she will be with you on this trip.
Oh, okay, great.
All right.
Yes.
And may I leave you with that?
Yes. Thank you
Okay.
so much. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank
All right,
you.
everyone. So you see how this goes. We don't have to worry about the spirits, letting skeletons fall out of our closets. So, there's nothing to be alarmed with here at the frequency of love. And I do see, let's see. If there's no one I'm looking forward to seeing in the next life where there'll be other friendly spirits to greet me. Oh, yes. I can't underscore that enough. I will hear reports from the spirits that when they died, they flew on the wings of angels. And that there are loving spirits. Nobody dies alone. We have believed that, or it's gotten repeated so much that somehow or another we've internalized that to be the truth, but nobody dies alone. And there are so many well-meaning spirits. And the other thing is, even if there's nobody we want to connect with, ancestors are also in the mix. So there could be a lot that you will understand about your family when ancestors and not like immediate family meet you. And you may get that, aha, now I get why I was born into this family, when I think the stork made a huge mistake and dropped me down the wrong chimney altogether. So you can get those, those aha moments when other spirits meet you. Nobody dies alone. Monica, may I come to you, please?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're very interested in spirit communication yourself. Isn't that true?
Yep.
And
Yep.
are you also interested in developing your psychic and mediumship gifts?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I'm a little scared of it also.
Right. And I'll tell you why I know that to be the case is you see the color I'm in purple, like violet purple, royal purple, or whatever they call it. This is the color of spirit, the color purple. And when I look at you, I see spikes of purple, almost like a corona, like a crown above your head. What that shows me is you are reaching out, but you're also pulling back, because it isn't just like a little halo that I'm seeing. It's more spiky.
Right.
And some of this is self-doubt, by the way. It's really, is that really from spirit? Or maybe it's not, it's that kind of thing. Your mother's side of the family was very religious, by the way.
Some of them, I think with my mom, I kind of stopped.
Okay, because there is religion coming through on mother's side of the family.
You've told me that before. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know I had spoken with you before. I do apologize. Do you mind getting another message?
Oh, no, please.
Okay.
No, because there's, a lot of things are going on.
Okay, good. And so this religion in the family was an organizing principle. And what you have created, it looks like, with mother, grandmother. By the way, father is also passed. There's a man that just popped up right behind you on your screen. And he gives me the feeling that you and he think very similarly. Is that true? Like you're kind of, there's a mind meld element of the two of you?
Yeah, and I think it's maybe actually gotten stronger since he passed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think he's there for me more now than he was.
It really feels that way. There's this mind meld.
Yeah.
And what is interesting is the way he approaches me, it's very cerebral. It's not much heart which is interesting. So he speaks to me in thought. He comes through with intelligence rather than emotion. Does that make sense to you?
Completely.
So part of his not being able to be there for you is he did not know how to emotionally handle a girl child.
Yep.
And that's what he says. He just called you a girl child. You look like a girl woman to me, or you don't look like a girl child, but that's how he refers to you.
Mhm.
He just did not know how to do that with you. And so there was also an element of fear that he would fail you. So is there also alcoholism on father's side of the family, by the way?
Mhm.
Because I am smelling it like gangbusters all of a sudden, like I'm going to get drunk and fall off my sofa.
Yep.
So there's that. There's addiction there as well, you know, on that side of the family. So your father was dealing with a lot.
Yep.
It
Yeah.
was more fear on his part than anything else. And his own fear of failure created the failure. Do you understand? It was the fear that he would fail that actually kept him from engaging in the way that he now can.
Interesting.
And that's what he wants you to know.
Okay.
So he says, look to the fear in your life, because there are things that are unsettling right now with you. I see what looks like a crossroads in front of your face. Sometimes that is actually a cross. You know, someone's giving me religion, but this is actually crossroads. You know, it's equal. It's not like the crossbar is up top. So for you, you are at a crossroads, it looks like, with even work or the kind of work that you do and what you choose to do with your time. Right now, on top of this diadem that you have and the crossroads, I'm now seeing a peace symbol. You want peace above anything else in your life. Isn't that true?
Mm-hmm.
And so anything that is not peaceful, you do not want a part of.
Definitely.
Okay? And your father understands that. He said, when you were younger, you were always asking why. Why does it have to be this way? There was this wanting to know, wanting to understand, wanting to shake things up. And he said that that has shifted now because you have become comfortable in your own skin.
Yep.
Do you get that?
Okay.
There is nothing left to prove.
Yeah.
And that's why he is joining you on this journey. So there may be a change around your work because it looks as though management is different. You know, it looks as though what is being required of you is different. It looks like demands are changing, but he's showing me that you're going in a different direction. And you are looking to be more personal in the work that you do and choose the people you interact with your work. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So it's more tailored.
Yeah.
And more direct, right?
Right.
Okay. And who's James or Jim? Your father just mentioned that name.
Jim.
Jimmy,
My cousin.
your cousin. And are you going to be getting together with that side of the family?
Oh, that's so funny. They're having a reunion and we
Okay.
never go. And Jim just reached out and we never go.
Okay. Because your father just said getting together with family, you know,
Well, okay.
a reunion. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows about that.
Interesting.
Because part of this is also your quest to even understand family more. Do you understand? As you're learning more about yourself and as you are on this quest for peace, some of it is found in family. Some of it is found engaging with people that maybe you have not.
Interesting. Okay, well, maybe I should go.
All right. So the spirits do not ever say to us, you must do this. That's not how they operate. They're not like dictators from spirit.
Right.
But the fact that he's bringing it up, it could be that there's value in it for you, but
Okay.
that's something for you to decide.
Okay.
All right. So much love here from your father. Now all of a sudden I got it. Wow, I just got a shot to the heart. So if you feel love from him and you think it's from him, don't doubt yourself, because there has been that change. His mind and his heart are no longer disconnected. They are working together, and they're working together on your behalf. And that's what he wants you to know. And may I
Great.
leave you with that?
Thank you very much.
All right. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Hollister, can I ask you a
Yes.
question?
Sure.
I want to ask you a question about how you work, because you mentioned smelling, smelling the alcohol and hearing things. And I assume you use all of your senses in addition to the intuition. Was it always like that? Or was it, did you just start hearing things, or did you always feel?
Well, when I was young, my clairvoyance was the most prevalent sense. So I saw spirits, and they were as real as you and me. And over time, the spirits have learned how to effectively use the energy to get through the most important information. So when I would see a spirit full on, it would be kind of entrancing. It'd be like, wow, look at that outfit. Look at that hair. Look at those eyes. Oh, it was kind of a real wow. And you can get hung up on that. But that's not always effective. So now I will, and I worked very hard to develop all of my senses and elevate them to connect with spirit. So when I had pre-pandemic, when I was teaching mediumship, which I hope to do again in person, I helped people develop their senses here on this earth plane. So for instance, we would break for lunch, and I would say to everybody, okay, instead of tasting your lunch today, allow yourself to smell your way through lunch, or hear your lunch. What does it sound like? And really begin to isolate your senses and build them in, because we all have a dominant sense. For most of us, it's sight. For some of us, it's hearing. And smell is one of our first senses. So, babies, when they're born, they can find, you always wonder, like, how do puppies find, when they're blind and everything, they find the nipples of the mother? How is that even possible? It's by smell. So smell is very powerful and very evocative. The whole perfume industry is based on that. So the key here for me is to make all of my senses available for the spirits so that they can present the information the way they choose. Because just like we have dominant senses, so do they. So let's just take the last father that I spoke with. He wasn't necessarily an emotionally, I love you kind of guy. He was very cerebral. So my clairsentience, my feeling, my empathy wasn't connecting with him. And this way, I was able to connect with mind, with thought, with intellect, even with third eye, for him to show me things like symbols and stuff like that with my clairvoyance. So because of that, I am able to present the spirits in their authentic way. Does that make sense? Because let's say someone didn't talk much in their life. They won't necessarily use my clairaudience. They may show me things. And that will ring truer than if I made them out to be a chatty Cathy or something. So does that make sense to everybody here?
That makes a lot of sense.
So tomorrow, why don't you choose to experience your day differently? Identify what your dominant sense is, and then decide to maybe make a different sense dominant tomorrow. So, and see what shows up for you. because the more available we are and the more our bodies are sensitized, the easier it is for spirits, guides, and angels to communicate with us. You see, we are in our bodies. This is our address. Our bodies are our physical address. That's where the spirits know to find us. We don't have to go chasing them down. And so it's absolutely helpful to develop our senses. So I hope that that is interesting to everyone here. Oh, I am so glad to hear, Lauren, from you. I have spoken with numerous hospice volunteers, as well as those working in palliative care. And I once did in a spirit circle, and I didn't realize they were all working in hospice care. But when they sat down in this circle and I looked up, I could see lines of people who were not their ancestors and not their, not family and friends, just lining up with gratitude. So I just want you to know, Lauren, and anyone else who works in hospice, sorry, I'm getting emotional here, but the gratitude of the spirits for that service is huge. So I just want to send a thank you to you from all the spirits who appreciate your work. Let's see who else we have here. Leslie Griffith, may I come to you, please?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as I look at you, you are covered with question marks, which makes me think you're intrigued by this. Is that true?
Yes, I am.
And you might just have a lot of questions about it, sort of bubbling up.
There was a great tie-in with a comment about palliative care, because I'm also a nurse and have probably worked with hundreds of dying people. And I do consider it like a real honor and like a midwife. And
yes,
I think there's a part of me that would like to go on in my next chapter, since I've retired, to provide healing work as a medium.
Yes. I have recommended highly. And I think it's interesting that Spirit brought me to you, because the easy thing would have been for me to search Lauren out and talk to her. But you see how Spirit brought me to you. And that's the way Spirit works in groups like this. There's resonance which happens. And so they, drew me to you for this, like these questions about this kind of work. And it's a natural, you're primed for it, because in nursing, there's a helpful energy that you carry, helpful and hopeful as well. And being able to be there and be present for difficult situations and conversations. All of that sets you up beautifully to be a medium and to explore this kind of work. So the path is wide open for you, my dear. And I'm delighted to welcome you into the fold.
Well, that means so much to me. Thank you so much.
All right. Yeah. Spirit just, pointed you out, all of those question marks. Yeah. All right. Let me just see. Was there another question that I have missed that I haven't answered? Oh, someone had to leave to go to a birthday party. That's really important. That brings me to another point, which is that even as a medium and working with spirits, I do not neglect my friendships here on this earth plane. And I do not neglect my family. I just flew back east and we had a family get together. I was able to see my 95-year-old father and my family. So it is very, very important to stay current with the people that we love, because when we are current and when we are loving and when we work through our stuff here, it's very freeing. It just makes it so much less difficult when we then lose someone. So I'm really glad that this lady went on
Actually, she,
birthday party.
Hollister, she says she still made her daughter wait because but know
She
if you
just,
have
who is
anything.
this person? Where is she?
This is Denise. It's Denise Lind.
Denise, where are you?
And she wanted to know if you have a message for her daughter for her
All right,
birthday.
hang on. Denise, I don't see you.
I don't see her either.
So she may have gone.
Oh. Yeah, I don't see her.
Yeah, I
No.
don't see her either.
Oh, no, Julie says she's here. Why are we not seeing her?
I don't know. Oh, there she is. Denise, I see you now. Hey there. Can you unmute yourself? I feel like singing, "Hello, darkness, my old friend." You look like you're sitting there in the dark. Well, as much as I'd like to say to you that you're sitting in proxy for your daughter, that's not actually how it works. Is your daughter there? There she is. Okay, because I wanted to see your face and let you know. And was there a male that you were hoping to speak with here today, Denise? Because there's the male energy that stands right between the two of you, by the way. And do you know of a father figure in spirit, by the way? Because that is who is standing there. Does that make sense to you? And you're still on mute, by the way. So I don't know if, there we go. All right, so that makes sense to you, does it not? I still can't hear you. There is also a younger male in spirit, by the way. So are you aware of the younger male in spirit? And someone who may have passed with a drug overdose or possible suicide. Does that make sense to you? Okay, so I just want you to know he's here. He's drawing a D and an A in the sky. So there's a DA name that he's trying to get through. If it's not his, it's going to be someone close to him. He wants to thank you, Denise's daughter, for being there for him when he felt no one else was. He says that you were true the entire time. He never felt as though, by the way, he's quite good looking. I just thought I'd throw that in there. He looks amazing in a t-shirt and jeans. He's now walking away from me. He has a little bit of a strut. I just want you to know. There's a little bit of a, kind of an overconfident strut that he's got. He also likes music and he's holding up a guitar, by the way. So music is one of the ways that he communicates with you. And he left behind song lyrics, by the way, which I think you have. I wish we could hear her, but I'm assuming that all of this makes sense to her because there's a reaction going on. So anyway, he's showing me short stanzas like song lyrics or things like that he wrote or that sum up his life. So, what's so interesting is I'm seeing Peter Pan, and I'm hearing like Lost Boys of Peter Pan. So I don't know if he loved Peter Pan or if he was a lost boy, but he wants you to know he is here with you and he would not miss this birthday for anything. By the way, he prefers cupcakes. So were you going to get cupcakes today? What's the cupcake thing? Well, we can't hear. But anyway, I know there's a cupcake thing because he was showing me that. All right. Well, I just want to thank you so much. You are sprung. You can now go and celebrate your birthday dinner. Bless you both. All right. Bye now. I don't even know what to say about that. It's like screaming into the abyss. But I think that made sense, right? Do we think that all made sense to her? It seemed.
I think so, judging from her reaction.
It looked a little bit like shock and awe.
Yes.
It reminds me, when I'm doing radio shows and things like that, and people are calling in, like I did Coast to Coast with George Noory. I'm just sitting at home at some ridiculous hour of the night. It was, I don't know, midnight or 1 a.m. I don't even remember what, but it was, I thought, oh my God, I'm way past my bedtime. And people would call in and, and we just had these wonderful visits with spirit. Spirits are not limited by distance or technological issues. So, we are the ones who may want the response, especially in a group event. You kind of want people to be able to share the experience. That's one of the reasons why I love these events, is because when one person is touched, we are all touched in some way. Now, did someone else have a question, by the way?
There was one person who wanted to know what her husband actually died of, and I don't know if that's the kind of thing.
Let me see. What is her name?
It just was under Zoom user, so I don't.
Okay. So I don't know. We may, if I come to you, he may speak to that. I don't know. But hang on just one second. There is, let's see. Lee, may I come to you, please? Lee Hayes. There
Yes.
you go.
Hi.
Hi.
I have
just was
I have
seeing-
chill bumps.
What's that?
I have chill bumps.
Okay. Well, I'm seeing so many flowers around you. It is crazy. I'm seeing roses and tulips. And so we have somebody here who really loves flowers, or you are the flower person. So, the person that you wanted to talk with is the flower person. Okay. Cause I'm like, woo, there are just flowers and flowers and flowers with you. And they just keep coming. I am also smelling perfume. So it's not just flowers, but it's also, there's a perfume that I'm smelling, like a lavender as well. And were you also hoping to speak with a male in spirit here today? Because there's a male who is standing here in front of me, between me and you, holding out a dozen red roses. So this is an important month, birthday, anniversary of a passing. This is an important time. Do you understand this? And he's coming with these flowers, all of that. But now this bouquet to celebrate. So there's a birthday, anniversary of a passing. I do not think you had a lot of time to say goodbye to him. He gives me the feeling I was there like that. It was all of a sudden.
Yeah.
That makes it feel so wrong and so challenging. And he's tapping on my head. I feel as though there's a head injury with his passing, a head complication. Does that make sense to you? Because, whoa, all of a sudden, my consciousness is gone from my head. So there was no coming back from that. Do you understand? It was fast, it was sudden, it was impactful. And his brain was no longer functional because of that. And he could not come back from that. Do you understand? He lets me know, by the way, I saw long hair, and then all of a sudden I saw short hair, and then did he buzz cut his head? What is going on? Because now all of a sudden it's like buzz cut. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I feel like I just went through 20 years of hairstyles with this guy. So his hair might be important to him, or his lack of hair.
His hair was very important. Yes.
Okay, so this is why we have the hair being highlighted.
He had a stroke, and he had a stroke before the big stroke.
Right.
And it was during COVID, and he buzz cut his hair.
Oh, they buzz cut his hair.
He did.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't know he had a stroke. And I
Okay.
was,
All right. Well, now I understand why he keeps giving me this
but yeah,
brain insult, this brain injury.
yes.
Was like he was slammed by it. That was the feeling. It just was all of a sudden. Do you know if he fell on his way to the bathroom?
Yes.
He hated that. That was a real problem for him because he always saw himself as a vital kind of guy. Do you understand? Strong, physically strong. He was that guy. Okay. And so he doesn't understand how not to be physically strong. So he wants you to know, by the way, who's Dave? He's mentioning that name. Or Dan. That's okay if you don't know who it is. If it's important, he'll bring it back. Was Dave a man he used to work with? Because he just said work to me. So I think this is a work person.
Possibly.
And was he forced to retire?
Dave or
Your
Jack?
man, was he forced to retire?
No.
Okay, then this Dave may have been. So you could hear from some of his former workmates. He's showing me birds. He wanted to die by a window. Did you know that? He wanted to be able to see outside. That's what he's saying. So do you know, was he near a door or near a window at the time he died?
Yes, we had placed him into rehab and we had a big window because
Right.
I'd been in the hospital with him for 7 weeks. They
Okay.
let me stay, but we put him by the window so that I could come to the window and see.
Right. Do you understand? He loved the window. He wanted to be able to see outside.
Yeah.
And not only you, but birds, trees. Do you know what I'm saying? He needed
Yeah.
nature. That's what he needed. And so he is so grateful that he died by a window. It meant everything to him. As difficult as, by the way, he loved his mother. Isn't that true? Then he had a favorite aunt, correct? Who's Marjorie? Or Margaret? Are you
Did I
aware of that
freeze?
name?
I'm sorry, I froze.
Margie or Margaret?
That is his grandmother.
His grandmother. So that's who met him. It wasn't his mother, it was his grandmother who met him. And they had love. Do you understand?
Yes.
He
huge.
loved his grandmother. Okay? Because he let me know he was met by a motherly person and someone who loved him. So it wasn't his mother, it was his grandmother named Margaret. Okay? So
Yes.
he wants you to know that's who met him. He did not die alone. And I have to say, you will be given roses in the craziest ways. He will find a way to bring roses to you. And do you also have a rose bush where you live? Because it will bloom in really weird ways. He wants you to know
Yes.
it might even bloom out of season or some weird thing, right?
It does. Yes. And
That's
he
what
used
he
to cut
says.
roses and bring them to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now he's making the bush bloom year round practically. All right. Just so that you know that he is there. So much love. He is there with the grandmother who loves him and the grandmother he loves. And may I leave you with that. There's so much gratitude to you for really being there for him. You know, he did not want to die till he knew you were going to be okay. And it wasn't until you let him know that it was so hard for you to see him this way that he knew that he could go, and he wants to thank you for that. That was a huge gift that you gave to him. And may I leave you with that?
Thank you.
All right. You're
Hollister.
welcome. You're welcome.
Hollister, Pam wants to know, what does it mean when someone in spirit shows up with flowers for you?
Well, in this case, it's very specific in that flowers was a thing they shared. And so but in general, flowers are important to the spirits because they mark significant occasions here. You just have to think about wedding bouquets, birthday flowers, anniversary flowers, what a guy, corsages when you go out to, a dance, funeral flowers. So in our cultures, we use flowers to say a lot. Now, the Victorians had a whole language of flowers. And so they believed that depending on what flower you gave someone, there was a message in it. There was a whole, it's this flower means that. And I mean, you can look all of this up. It's really kind of interesting. And the other thing is, when I have taught workshops, I've done flower sentience, which is allow people to touch flowers, place them on the ground. Students will come in, pick up a flower, and not only be able to discern what is going on in this person's life, but even connect with a spirit that belongs to them, and even allow the flower to lead them to the person. So flowers hold energy. They are often go-betweens. They often say what we ourselves cannot. So that's why there's this flower spirit connection. It's really kind of big. I hope that answers your question. It's kind of broad, but yeah. Don't worry. If they bring you flowers, it doesn't mean it's your funeral. So don't panic about that. Let's see. Yes.
Julie Scott wanted to let you know that she's going through a difficult time, a challenging time, and wondering.
Was that the Julie I just spoke with her daughter, or no?
No, Julie was.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Hey, Julie.
Yeah, she was looking for some guidance.
All right. Well, let's see here.
Thank you, Judy.
As I look off screen, because not only are spirits around you guys on the screen, they are also here in my office. They're not location based, so they're consciousness based, which means that they can be in more than one place at a time. So I think it's interesting, Julie, that for the first time tonight, I'm seeing presences here in my office. And so what I would say here is, are you feeling separated from people or distanced from people, or almost as though you're in this alone?
Not as much as I have in the past. I mean,
okay, so that is a past way that you were. So I think I'm being shown how things were in the past for you.
Right.
That you have felt other than, separated out, not part of the pack, not belonging in some way.
Right.
And some of this could be also due to your intellect and your sensitivity. Do you understand that both of those are heightened with you, which can make it very challenging to function on an everyday level in the world? You get that, right?
Get that.
Okay.
I really get that.
So with that sensitivity, because as I look at you, there's a big glowing orb right here at your chest, which is empathy. Have you considered psychology as an interest?
Well, I do like a healing kind of practice with nutrition.
Okay, because
so, yes,
I really do see this energy with you, and as I look at you, because it's dark behind you on screen, I do see expansion, because it looks as though you may want to expand one area of your work and let go of others. So that's what's happening here. That's why I'm getting this distance. I knew there was a reason why. I'm like, we got you here, but we got spirit here. There's a separation. So you will be leaving behind maybe even a place that you work, and that kind of thing, leaving that behind and moving more on your own into a lighter space or a different space.
Okay.
And are you also interested in creating a line of product or endorsing a specific line of product?
I would, but that's not something I have in my agenda. Like it's not in my.
Okay,
It's
well,
not in
that's
my-
interesting because I just saw product line written across your, so you may get approached by that
Mhm, mhm.
because you've been asking for passive income. Isn't that true? Right?
Yeah.
Things that
Correct.
will make you money
Correct.
when you are not doing hour by hour working with people, right?
Yes. Mhm.
So that may be why I'm seeing product line. Maybe it isn't specifically nutritional supplements, but it could be product that people buy that is separate from your time.
Mhm, mhm.
So now you also have a grandmother on your father's side that you knew?
Yes. A grand. Yeah, my grandma. Yeah. My dad's
Grandma.
side that I knew.
Okay.
Yeah. Great grandma.
Did she like being in the kitchen, by the way?
I don't know. I mean, she cooked. I don't know. She liked it.
Because she's headed down the hallway from where I'm sitting, and there's a table down there, and she's sitting at it. So she talks to me about longevity. Apparently, this is a family with good genes. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And she says there's this idea of longevity and wellness that you are carrying forward in the family. Would you agree with that? It's not just about living long, it's about living well. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
And so she is joining you with this. There don't seem to be any limits on what you can do.
Okay.
But she says, think bigger than you are. You tend to go granular. You tend to go, you have your to-do list, and then you think you've accomplished something.
Yeah.
She's suggesting that you think big. How many people can I reach? What is the best way to do that? There's a side of you that could be quite shy. And that may be that empathetic side. Do you understand? It could always be a struggle between being visible
Yeah. Absolutely.
and being effective. Do you understand? It's a challenge for you. So try on how it would feel to be more public. Try that on without doing it first, but try it on, see how it feels. Because your grandmother seems to think you can do it. Do you like TED Talks?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
okay.
I like
Do you
them.
watch them?
No, rarely.
Okay. Do you
Rarely.
think you could do one?
Yeah, I think if I had the chance, I could do one.
Okay, because she just wrote TED on your square.
Okay.
So unless you know someone named Ted, which is also a possibility, Theodore,
I don't. Yeah.
I'm thinking she's talking TED Talks.
All
All right. So think big, my dear. That's what her answer is to the guidance, rather than get so granular about things. Does that make sense to you?
That makes sense to me.
And I hope that that is helpful.
Yes, right. Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
So I'm having a specifically, I'm not going to show me specifically, but I'm having a health challenge. Is there any information about that at all?
Well, I'm not a medical medium.
Oh, you're not.
So unfortunately,
well, I'm not saying I'm not offering advice, but I'm just saying any about, moving through it or timeline. I'm not asking for you to like say, yeah, take some this herb or that homeopathic or
Right. Spirits are very bad with time. They don't operate in time. But your grandmother was here talking about wellness, talking about, and I think her words were wellness, living long, it was longevity, but living well as well. Okay, so your health challenge may very well be the jumping off point for what you will be bringing to the world. In this case, it may very well be physician, heal thyself with the spirit's help. She seems to think you know a lot about what you're facing. And so coach yourself, and she will be online to do that with you.
Thank you.
So time frame, spirits are terrible with time frame. I couldn't even hope to give you that. Plus, we change time frames with everything we do and every step we take. So just know that. And are you walking more, by the way, or looking to walk more?
Yes, I would say yes.
Because she's talking about walking. That's really funny. Walking, curing all ills. I have no idea how that's possible, but that's interesting.
Okay.
All right. And may I leave you with that?
Thank you very
All
much.
right.
I'm very grateful. Thank you. Thank you.
All
Hollister.
right. You're very welcome.
So Hollister, we
Alicia.
have
Oh,
a
I'm sorry. What was that, Judy?
we have a couple of questions. I don't
Yes.
know how, people are kind of asking personal questions about do you talk to people about, like, T wants to know what kind of work to be doing, and do you often get messages from spirit with that kind of guidance?
Well, in private sessions, the spirits cover a lot of stuff, but as I said, they don't tell us what to do. But often there is guidance, and we'll see if I'm led there. I was led to Alicia at this moment. May I come to you, please?
Yes.
Okay. And are you also interested in guidance for your work?
I hope so.
Okay, so that's interesting. Because I just saw work things showing up with you as well. And I did also get the sense that you might be traveling. Is that true? Or wanting to travel?
It depends. If it's geographically, then no.
Okay.
But yeah.
But you do remote, you travel in your dreams? Do you do remote viewing and traveling that way?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, then this really may be. Who is this other person who wanted guidance with their
T Trollin, and I don't know who that is. Also wanted to know what
I'm gonna allow the spirits to take me to where I need to go next. JW, may I come to you, please?
Yes.
Okay. Over your head, I see numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a logic to your thinking. There's one thought is followed by another thought. There's really a desire to understand things clearly in this world. Does that make sense to you? In this world and the next?
Yes.
It's like you really want to know, not just a passing interest. You want to understand how the universe works and fundamentally how it is. So, and are you interested in aliens at all?
I've seen some.
You what?
I have seen aliens.
Okay, good, because I'm seeing them with you, and I just wanted to be sure.
Yeah,
I was like,
seen them.
whew, okay, because you really don't want to, when you're talking to people's loved ones, go, you've got aliens behind you.
No.
But I think that's intriguing. They look to me very non-threatening in a way, and there's a lot, and I'm seeing numbers running through them. They almost look like computer stuff. You know how you can see computer programs and how they're written?
Right.
That's almost what they're showing me. So there's some sort of data thing that maybe you and they will share.
Interesting.
But it seems as though you will be connecting not only to our universe, but maybe kind of universal understanding of how things work.
Yeah, the cosmos.
The cosmos. And so, so you have helpers in that,
Cool.
which is interesting because it's bigger than just our planet. And they seem to be very interested in our planet. And you are also a solution-based person. Is that true?
Yes.
Because it seems as though one of the things that alien presences like with you is like about you is that you are a doer and a fixer. Once the problem has been identified and the solution has been identified, you get on with it.
That's correct.
And they like that about you. You are not complacent. You also have a father who has passed.
Yes.
And did he have an engineering mind?
Yes, he was a mechanical engineer.
Okay, because he just said engineer to me and his mind was engineering in its way. So he is also here with the aliens.
Huh.
So interesting. But he is also interested in how the world works and how everything is put together. Are we surprised he's a mechanical engineer? So, of course, he's going to be here. Do you know Ray, by the way? He mentioned that, R-A-Y, Ray or Raymond.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, if it's important, he'll bring it back.
Okay.
Your father says that you've been talking with him recently. Is that true?
Yes.
And he said you've been asking him to help with things and people here on the Earth plane. Is that true?
I'm exploring. I put a message in your things. I've gone to an Indian burial site recently, and I'm trying to understand about Earth trauma.
Okay. Well, are we surprised at all that he is involved with this? Not at all.
Wow.
Because his family also suffered trauma. Do you understand?
Yes, they did.
And did they lose a farm, or was there farmland that was destroyed?
Not that I'm aware of.
He talks about crops being destroyed and land being destroyed.
Hmm.
This may even be in Europe someplace. I feel as though I'm looking to a different country. So, so he will join you with this whole, because it's no trauma. Trauma resonates, and it resonates everywhere. So where there's trauma, it affects many more people than we can imagine. And so trauma is also what has created a lot of the pain that's on this planet.
Yes.
Which is causing people to act in ways that are not beneficial to themselves, each other, and mankind in general, or even the Earth.
Yes,
So healing trauma is really important, because when you shift the trauma of the Earth, it affects everyone who stands on it. And that includes all of us. So your father's on board with that.
Hey, cool. Thank you.
So, so I hope that's helpful.
It is very helpful. Thank you.
All right. Well, it was so nice to speak with you.
Thank you.
Larry, may I come to you, please? Larry Pesta.
Yes, definitely.
Hi there. Thank you
Hi.
so much for joining tonight. You might
Thank
be
you.
our honorary male. I don't know. We might have
No,
a few
there's-
more, but it's
there's
always
five-
nice. What's
There's
that?
5 others. There's 5 others. I looked.
5. Oh my gosh. We almost have a baseball team, but not quite. Larry, I look at you and I hear the name John for some reason. It's okay if it doesn't make sense to you, but I feel that this is on father's side of the family. Or Joe. So it's John or Joe, or it could be John, Jonathan, Joseph, or Joseph, Jonathan. It's okay if it doesn't make sense.
Well, my grandfather on my father's side, his name was Joseph, but
Okay.
I never met him.
Okay, that's okay. He's still here. There's also a John or Jonathan. So do you know what his middle name was?
No,
Okay, because it might be Jonathan. I don't know. Maybe that's something you
I
can
don't,
check.
I don't think so.
Okay, then it may be another person. But I was hearing John and then I was hearing Joseph. So we've got father's line here, interestingly enough. And do you like planes or did your father like planes?
I like planes.
You like planes because I'm seeing planes taking off in front of your square.
Good.
So, and I think that may have been something that was an interest even from the time you were young.
Yes,
Because your father is also passed, is he not?
yes,
Because he's showing me, a man is showing me a grown man and a little boy looking at the sky together. And so this idea of planes. So he seemed to think you might join the Navy or the Air Force. He thought there might be a military career. And you didn't lose your father when you were young, did you?
no,
Okay, because he's also over there with a younger male. So there is a male who died young in the family as well. And this may be his brother, but I'm just not sure. I also see a lady standing with him, feels like mother to you. And you cared very much for your mother, correct?
no,
Okay, then you have another female in spirit you were very close to, correct?
could be my grandmother.
Okay, because there's a lady here who comes in as motherly, but she obviously isn't your mother if you were not close to her. But your mother had a critical voice, didn't she?
Well, not voice, but she was critical of me.
She was critical, okay. Because my connection with spirits who are critical, it sounds like they have a critical voice. It's almost like I'm hearing how they comment on the world. I know your mother may not be someone you want to hear from today, but she is here in the mix.
Yeah, it's okay.
And
She can do whatever she wants.
okay, and at the frequency of love, it means there's been a change of heart if she is able to speak with me. She was really terrified that things wouldn't be perfect, your mother. She wanted things to be just so. Did you remember that?
No, not at all.
Okay, because she gives me the feeling that everything has to be a certain way. It has to be organized in a certain way, or she would get very, very upset. There was also a male you were hoping to speak with here today, other than your father, correct?
No.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to move on, Larry, because it doesn't
Yes,
seem like
please
we
do.
have much connecting with you. I'm
No,
glad
no.
that we were able to have your father and your grandfather and your father pop in here briefly. But your mother might be a bit of a killjoy. The energy kind of dropped, when she came on the scene. So I'm just going to move on. And was there another question?
Nope.
Okay.
Mary Claire said she had a question.
Okay, Mary Claire, what's your question?
Thank you so much, Hollister.
You're very welcome.
I'm the middle of 7 sisters, and my father passed a year ago. Actually, a year and a half ago, and we just buried him this month. My baby sister died by suicide several years ago, and there seemed to be a lot of shenanigans in my family. I'm very
Shenanigans, okay.
I'm very connected on the other side, and I know my sister is doing very well and having a hard time.
So are you're having a hard time, you're saying?
I am. I'm having a hard time. Realize my father makes his wishes known to me before and after he passed. And he's coming up against real blocks among the other women in my family. And so I've done everything I can to try and realize
This is
his wishes.
it's very simple. It's really very, very simple. Unfortunately, once someone is in spirit, there cannot be dictating to people who are left behind around what to do with people, places, and things, and, jewelry and houses and cars. All of that is the responsibility of us before we die to get our wishes in place. So just so you know, if everything wasn't sorted out exactly as it needed to be, there is nothing that you can do now on your father's behalf to make it so, except for what is in your own personal control. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really time to let that go and know that if you in some way are being cut out, left behind, damaged by all of this, okay, that what your father is expressing to you is his love for you and his desire that it be different. But he had to have done it before he died for it to stand in the world here. Do you understand?
Thank you.
That's just how it is. So his expressing to you how he would prefer things to be is letting you know that he recognizes that he didn't do right by you in a very clear way that would stand up to scrutiny. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, my dad was a very good guy, and he loved me very much. He loved all of his daughters, and he was a great father and husband.
Yes.
He was being manipulated by some
Well,
of the energies that had
okay,
hold of
but
the family.
what I'm saying is there may be shenanigans, but there is nothing to be done. Okay? Everything has to be laid out before we die. It can't be fixed afterwards. Spirit may inspire people to make changes. You understand? But they have to be open to being inspired.
Yes, and he was giving wishes for his memorial, such as something as simple as the letter that our sister who died at her own hand had written him that was so loving. He
Okay,
wanted that to be the
and
eulogy.
apparently other people didn't do it. Okay, it's done. You can't change these other things. Other people are doing what they want to do. Okay.
Thank you.
And spirit really is okay with a lot of stuff. I remember there was a father who passed, and his wardrobe when he was alive was very, very important to him. So important that one of his daughters kept all of his suits pristine. I mean, she would get them dry cleaned and all of this. And he showed up in spirit in flip-flops and a Hawaiian shirt to let them know, to let the sisters know, you don't need to make a mausoleum of my clothes. It's really okay. So some of the things even that we seem to be attached to while we're here on this earth plane, we are no longer attached to when we pass. So I hope that's helpful.
Hollister, I have two questions here that I'm going to combine
Yes.
into one, sort of. So Nancy wants to know, what does it mean when someone shows up with a fish? My brother appeared next to my bed early one morning right after I woke up. And what I want to combine that with is, how do I open up to hear messages from the departed that Lucy asked? That question about if people are appearing to you, at your bedside, or, what's the next step to foster that if you want to foster it? And
Yes.
does fish mean anything to you?
Well, of course, I would probably smell it, but I mean, other than that, it would mean something if the person was a fisherman and loved to fish. So often spirits will show up with things that represent their loves, like books or a fishing pole or things like that. So it most likely indicates it indicates what the spirit himself or herself liked to do. And it can also be a sign of sustenance. So what begins to happen when you work with the spirits is you develop your own connections, your own symbols. So when I do this work, when things are shown to me, if I'm shown something, I know what it means. And that's developed over, 30 plus years, that I've developed my own lexicon with the spirits. And it can be very, very helpful to do that. In my first book, I'm Not Dead, I'm Different, I have a little exercise people can do called the patchwork quilt. And that means that you just write down everything you think might be a message from the spirits, anything at all, because over time you start to see patterns. And it's easy to forget when things happen. But if it's written down and it has dates, you can begin to let go of talking yourself out of it. In my latest book, I do have exercises and suggestions for developing your own connections. I have some simple online classes, and I do also hope to do in-person development classes as well. So I'm looking forward to getting back into mediumship development because I really love it. It just floats my boat.
Can I ask you just one, we talked when you were here 3 years ago, we talked about people partnering with spirit world to,
Yes.
bring about positive change on the planet.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if you have seen over the course of the pandemic, over the course of the 3 years, have the messages coming through changed at all? Has there been a tone change? Are there themes that come through with the people that you're reading
it's
for?
very interesting because JW, the message for JW was very collaborative. It was very much about collaborating, not just with relatives, but also with people, with entities. I don't want to say people because they're not humanoid in that way. They're conscious beings, but maybe from another galaxy, this sort of cosmos. So that idea of we are not alone is now finally out there. And, and there might even be legislation about it, apparently. So there is collaboration going on. What I would say is through the pandemic, everything that I had come to understand over the years of doing this work was basically ramped up. The ideas of kindness, compassion, healing trauma. Trauma is the number one issue that came up during the pandemic. And that had a lot to do with how people were dying and those left behind not able to be with them, as well as the numbers of young people that I'm speaking with who have died from suicide and fentanyl poisoning. I mean, it's an incredible exodus from the planet that has happened all at once. And the trauma around that needs to be addressed. So the spirits have really highlighted the idea of healing trauma these last 3 years, because trauma builds on itself. So the traumas of the world wars, the traumas of genocides, all of all genocides, all of these traumas just build and build and build and build. And now we have the planet itself, in trauma. So thank you, JW, for working on some trauma healing with the earth. So that is what I would say, is it is about being kind to ourselves and being kind to each other, fostering connectiveness, facing and dealing with trauma. And there are numbers of ways to deal with trauma these days. There are lots of practices around it, but being helpers wherever we can. During the pandemic, I sat and I said to Spirit, well, I guess I know why I'm still here. I guess I know why I'm still doing this work. It is so needed. And now I'm beginning to see the fruit of 30 years of doing this work with people developing their own connections with the spirits and being moved in that way to kindness, compassion, and healing from trauma. So that's what I would say. I've really, really appreciated being here this evening with everyone. I hope that all of you found the messages hopeful and helpful. It was really a joy to be here. I'm not hard to find. I'm really easy to find. I have, on Sunday, I have an online spirit circle, and there's actually one ticket left. I think one person put their ticket back in or something, but we have one ticket left. So on my website, if you're interested, that ticket is still available. But I have small spirit circles online, only 5 people, everybody gets a message. And I do also do phone sessions, and I do Zoom sessions. And I will also be in Northern California in October. I'll be doing a book signing at the Book Passage in Corte Madera. And I will also be doing spirit circles. If you want one at your house, or, you know, would like to have a private session, let me know. And of course, the latest book is Everything You Wanted to Know About the Afterlife, but We're Afraid to Ask. So thank you all so much for being here. It's just been a delight.
I'm going to put up this slide with your contact information so people can hopefully see that. Oh, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I think something's missing, but
something's missing. Yeah, I don't see your contact. So
yeah.
your website is
Hollister Rand,
Hollisterrand.
hollisterrand.com. Very easy. And you can find all of the spirit circles listed on the website.
Yeah.
It's justmyname.com.
Excellent. Yes, this is just so wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone who came. Thank you to the spirits who came through for the guidance always. And I just really appreciate you, Hollister, so much, and the work that you're doing in the world. And I hope everyone has a good evening, and we'll see you next time.
All right.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.